Good morning, or should I say good afternoon to everyone. We're here today at the National Basketball Performance Centre for the Senior National Cup Final, Day 2. Yesterday we had the juniors here, we had 4 games, action-packed day, great crowd. Today, again, the crowd's pretty decent. We've got all the Brent fans in orange, Ipswich fans in blue with their little wigs. Yeah, so first game of the day, women's, Brent Bulls versus Ipswich, Endeavour Ipswich, they're called. Yeah, Endeavour Ipswich Basketball. I'm here courtside now with Hannah Alty. Hannah, what are we expecting from the first game of today?
Well, Isha, I am so excited. You know, we've got 2 of the best teams in the league going head-to-head for the National Cup. And on top of that, we've got an all-female media and commentary team today, which is just amazing for us. So, yeah, I'm very, very excited.
Yeah, women in sport and that, women in media, we love it. So, this game, Ipswich, Brent, as you said, 2 really good teams in D1. I mean, this Division 1 league anyway, Women's Division 1 league, it's pretty, you don't really know who's going to win. It's anyone's league. There's no really set, oh, that person's going to be the best. It could be anyone. So, Ipswich, Brent, what was their road to the final? How did they get here?
So, it was a tough road, you know. So, for the quarter-final for Brent were up against Cobham, and it was 76-42. And then for Ipswich, they were up against Barking Abbey, and that was 88-36. Now, there was quite a bit of disparity there in the scores, but for the semi-finals, that's where it was at. For Loughborough and Ipswich, it was a 10-point game. So it was 72 Ipswich and 62 for Loughborough. And then for Brent, they came up against the London Cavaliers, and it was 73-38. So it was a tough road. You know, they had to fight to get their positions here, and I think, you know, they're going to prove that today when they step on the court.
Yeah, so earlier I actually caught up with both coaches. So I caught up with Brent coach, Kenrick Liebert, and let's just hear what he had to say. Right, cool. So, Coach, first of all, congratulations on making the National Cup Final. This is actually the first time that a Brent team has made the National Cup Final. What does that mean to you, especially considering it's your second season coaching at this club?
Yeah, really excited. I mean, we've got lots of good people at the club, you know, the staff, the owner, the chairman. There's loads of people working behind the scenes. And then, you know, the players. They've done a really good job of banding together and just building on what we were trying to build last year and just continuing to make strides forward. So it's a great achievement for the club this soon.
Yeah, so in the league, in the Women's NBL Division 1, you beat these guys by 4 points. Considering that, what's the game plan going into this game?
You know, I think both of us have a similar style of play. We both want to play fast. We both want to get shots up. We both want to press the opponent. So there's no real surprises here. I think for us, it's about rebounding the ball, taking care of the ball, and playing to our strengths, playing advantage basketball. We've got lots of weapons, so it's making sure that we continually use the weapons in the right places. And for our group, you know, we know if we play with poise and we play with composure, we're really hard to beat. And then we have to make sure we win the mini little effort battles that are going to be overall the game, which they're really good at.
Yeah, so what's going to be your final thing that you say to the team before they go out and play there today?
Be themselves. Be themselves. You know, we always try to talk about if you're yourself, you know, that's all we need. The best version of you, that's all we need. So we just want to come out here, be us, show what we do, and if we do what we're supposed to do, we'll win the game.
All right, cool. So, Nick, first of all, unlucky on the loss yesterday. Obviously, a lot of your girls who were in your D1 squad played in yesterday's game. Are they hungry today and try and get that win?
Absolutely. We've got loads of character in the group, and I think you know, yesterday's performance, you know, certainly in that second half, showed that the girls have got a ton of character in the way that, you know, let's see how they bounce back today.
Yeah, so second thing, when you played Brent last time in the league, obviously you lost by like 4 points, I think it was, which is obviously unfortunate, but it's quite a close game. What have you done in preparation for today's game, knowing that you had that loss? What was the game plan going in today?
Well, most of our preparation is just around us being better as opposed to sort of focusing on the other team. We know what Brent are capable of. They're one of, if not the best team in Division 1 so far this year. They've beaten ourselves, they've beaten Cola. You know, that's a good measure. So they're a really good team. We know what they're capable of. It's up to us to concentrate on what we do.
Yeah, so obviously last year you actually won the National Cup. So how much would it mean to you to win it 2 consecutive years in a row?
We love the National Cup. The National Cup's kind of where it all started for our girls and women's programme, and certainly this generation. So we're, it holds a very special place in our hearts.
All right, cool. Thanks for taking time to speak to me today, and I hope all goes well in the game.
Very much.
So Hannah, obviously these two have faced each other once so far in women WNBL Division 1. Brent came on top just by 4 points. What was that game like?
So that game was back in November, and it was 80-76 with Brent taking the win. You had Harriet Welland for Ipswich scoring 20 points, 8 rebounds and 6 assists. And then Louisa Gibbons with 16 points, 10 rebounds and 3 assists. However, we had Judit Fritz for Brent coming in at 29 points, 5 rebounds and 3 assists. And then Lindsey Cleary, she's finished off with 17 points and 17 rebounds. So as you can see, both teams have got heavy hitters coming into this game. And I think it's going to be a game that we're just not going to know until right now when they step on that court, we're just not going to know. So I think it's really exciting today. You know, the lights are off, the crowd is going, and yeah, so I'm really excited. I think that game was back in November, so for us, we're not sure what today's going to bring. We don't know what they've put in place over Christmas. We don't know kind of what development that the team have brought through. So I think for us, it's just going to be all about when those players step on the court.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, as you said, they face each other in November. I think both teams have had time to go back to the lab, kind of work on things, work on plays, especially for this game. Obviously, it's a big game. They've looked ahead, kind of gone through different stats, game plans. Both teams are quite stacked. As you mentioned, some names there, they are quite big names they can bring. We know they can bring scores. We know they can have big stat lines. But Brent, though, who do you think are going to be the standout players today?
For me, Brent, we need to look at Judit Fritz. She's currently averaging 21 points a game, and her free throw percentage is over 80%. So if Ipswich get into foul trouble and put her on the line, she is down to get those free throws. And again, we've got Lindsey Cleary. She is averaging 18 points a game and with 9 rebounds. She's also leading the league, the Div 1 league, in her rebounding. She's an absolute menace at the ball. You've got to box her out, get a body on her, and really make sure that she's covered under the basket.
Yeah, Brent are pretty stacked. I mean, that's just a few of their players, nameable players. Then if we take a look at Ipswich, who for them do you think is going to go off? I mean, starting with the obvious choice, obviously Harriet Wellham, 2-time Cup Finals MVP anyway. Are we expecting her to go off? Who else are we expecting to go off?
I mean, of course, you've already mentioned Harriet. She's going to go off. She's averaging 25 points per game at the minute. But I think secretly coming under the radar, you've got Maddie Warmland as well. She's averaging 37% from the three-point line. You know, so Brent have got to be really careful and make sure that she's on the perimeter. And we've got to make sure that she's covered and we're not hitting her on Brent aren't allowing her to hit from the perimeter. And then also we've got Louisa Gibbons, you know, she's a tough rebounder. She'll go after any board, and I'm really, really excited to see the matchup between Louisa Gibbons and Lindsey Cleary today.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's going to be a great game, but obviously, I mean, I can't not ask about this question, but Ipswich, obviously, they played in the 18s final yesterday. Sadly lost to Kohler, but a lot of their Division 1 women's squad actually has under 18. I think about 7 or 8 of their players played yesterday. What do you think it's going to be like for them?
I mean, you know, you hope that they've kind of prepped ahead for that. They've made sure that they've come home, they've gone home last night, they've rested, they've recuperated, had a good night's sleep like me and you did. And you know, they're fresh for today. You know, it's not unusual for young, talented kids to be playing up at this level. It's a great pathway for them, and it's important for them to kind of have access and exposure at these leagues, because it means that they can then, you know, push forward for that development and hopefully push forward for, you know, wherever they plan to go after they've finished.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Ipswich, as we know, they have a great women's basketball academy. They are well known for that, especially at that academy 18s women's level. Brent kind of contrasted Ipswich. They don't really, I mean, they're not really known for like their program or things like that. They are a fairly new team, only been around for a couple of years. Brent don't really have any kind of, I would say, like young talent coming through. They are quite an older team. Do you think that's going to play as a kind of disadvantage for them?
I actually think the opposite. I think that veteran leadership, they've got a couple of WBBL players on that team, and they've got a few international players on there. So I think for them, it's going to kind of that veteran leadership and that veteran guidance that you cannot kind of compare experience to talent. I think sometimes having that experience can actually compensate for, you know, coming up against younger talent who might be fitter. They might be able to run a few more laps than you. But at the end of the day, if you've got that knowledge and those expertise that you can bring from the international stage and from the professional league, I think that can set you in good stead.
Yeah, so speaking of experience, obviously Ipswich coach Nick Drane, he's been in this situation like plenty of times now, especially with this Ipswich team. How do you think he's going to feel coming into this game, knowing that he wants to get that get that trophy the second consecutive year in a row?
I mean, I think for him, you know, this is just an everyday game for him. You know, he's no stranger to these situations. I think as a coach, you know, every game you go into, you go it for the win, and you go for kind of whatever your mentality is on that day. And I think with Nick, he's somebody that's got this experience, he's got a wealth of knowledge, you know, and it really shows with the results that he's bringing for Ipswich. So I think for him, you know, today's just another day.
Yeah, so yeah, sounds like it might be. But then, if we go and look at Brent, then obviously they've got Coach Kenrick. He's only been with them for 2 years. This is actually the first time a Brent team have made it to a cup final, men or women's. Do you think he'll be feeling the nerves, or do you think it's just another day for him?
You know, you don't know. You know, like somebody like Kenrick, who is new to these kind of situations, you know, it brings out that side of them as a coach. You know, you get to see a new side of them and how they react to these games and how they react to these situations. You know, like we mentioned a lot yesterday, you know, you've got a completely different atmosphere. You know, Brent is quite a small court when you go and we played there. It's a very small court, and then coming and playing in this atmosphere with the crowd, it can get a bit overwhelming. So for him, I think he'll have to have his game face on, and let's hope he's put the prep in for today.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, we'll find out in about 6 minutes. So for now, me and Hannah have kind of finished. We're going to go over to Kaz and Hannah again, and then they're going to take you through and kind of commentate the game. So yeah, back to you, Kaz. Or over to you, should I say.
Thanks, Isha and Hannah. Great insight there into what is sure to be an absolutely fantastic women's final. We have a slightly delayed tip-off, so we're due to tip off in just under 6 minutes' time as the teams are warming up. We had a net being fixed on one of the hoops, but it looks like we're all good to go. And in around 5.5 minutes' time now, we'll get things underway. So stay tuned today to the Basketball England YouTube channel. We have all the action from the Senior National Cup coming up today. The women's game due to tip very shortly, and at 4 o'clock it will be the men's game. John Hobbs and Will Reid will be taking you through that one. The Hemel Storm and the Reading Rockets in a battle between first and second in the league. So it's an absolutely must-see game, as is the one we're about to watch in a few minutes' time, Hannah.
Hi, I'm here.
You've made it. You've raced all the way round.
I'm sweating.
You're a woman of many talents.
I am, Kaz, I am. No, I'm so excited today, Kaz. You know, I just think, you know, we've got two of the best teams in the league. Like Isha said before, the D1 league at the minute is wide open. You know, there's no one team taking this win. So I think not only is this going to be an interesting game today, I think it's going to also set the rest of the season instead.
Definitely, and we still have a lot of the season to go, don't we? This is sort of the first marker in January when we start with the National Cup finals, but then obviously we have playoff finals later on, and it's that time of the season where teams are starting to look at those seedings as well in the playoffs.
Yeah, definitely. You know, you've got to kind of look, you know, it's the top 8 teams, so I think, and positioning within that as well is very crucial. So I think for certain teams, sometimes, you know, finishing first isn't always where you want to be. You know, if you know that you've had an upset with the team that are in 8th, that also then brings up pressure. So, you know, I think seeding is very important. And yeah, I just think this game is going to really demonstrate kind of where both Brent and Ipswich are at the moment in the league.
And you both mentioned it in the pre-game, so Brent not having made a final before. They've only been in existence since 2020. First time finalists for them, and for Ipswich, the current holders after beating Thames Valley Cavaliers last year. So a real tale of two teams.
It really is. You know, Ipswich have got quite a new roster this year. They lost quite a few big players last year who all graduated and went off to greener pastures in the US. So I think for them, it might be kind of like a new setting for them. You know, they've had to kind of work out kind of each other's strengths. But I think Harriet, you know, as a captain and as a senior leader in the team, knowing her, she'll have tapped into all of that by now. So I think for them, it's just kind of really interesting to see how they're all working together as a new team. And yeah, and I think with Brent, you know, they've had a couple of new additions this year, but we've still got the main guys for them, you know. And I think for them, you know, Kenrick now, I think, will have his players in mind, have his starting 5 in mind, and it'll just be making sure today that they're all in sync and they're working together well.
Yeah, and you mentioned some new additions, you spoke about her before, but Lindsey Cleary, adding her into an already strong Brent team seems almost unfair because she's an outrageous rebounder.
She actually is. Like, she comes out of nowhere. I mean, she came from Reading Rockets last year. I know I played against her last year, and there was a few times that you know, you think you're set and you're ready for the rebound, and then she comes out of nowhere and just whips it right out your hands, and you're just like, where did you come from? No, she's incredible, and I think as an athlete as well, you know, she really does perform.
She certainly does. She's also the all-time leading rebounder in the WNBL as she entered this season, which, considering she's played not that many seasons, is incredibly impressive. And for Ipswich, we saw Harriet Wellham yesterday. She was coach of the under-18s team in their final against Cola, and there's 7 players out there for Ipswich today who played in that final yesterday. So how is that going to kind of help them? They've had that experience yesterday coming onto the senior game today.
You know, I think when you, the first games when you set up as a younger player, you know, these circumstances, this environment, it can be very overwhelming, but hopefully now they've got over that. You know, usually me and you will say in a game, it takes the first quarter to settle your nerves. Well, those players have had a game.
Yeah.
You know, they've played a whole game, they've had a good night's rest, and they should be ready for today. They should know what to expect. And likely, you know, yes, Harriet was their coach yesterday, but she's now their teammate today. So, and that's a whole different role for her to play. So I think, you know, they should be ready, you know, and they should be settled for ready to bring it into the court today.
Definitely. So a minute to go until tip, and if we take a look at the starting fives for both teams, for Ipswich, it will be number 9, Maisie Keys, number 10, Keris Leach, number 14, Harriet Wellham, and number 15, Louisa Gibbons, and number 22, Maddie Wormold. For the Brent Bulls, number 1, Vanessa Accra, number 5, Rocky Davids, number 9, Eleanor Bishop, number 15, Judit Fritz, and number 21, Lindsey Cleary, the rebounding machine herself. Brent playing in orange today and Ipswich in blue. And Hannah, these teams have met each other once before this season. It was a 4-point win for Brent back in November, 80-76. And it's just, there's nothing in it, is there? There's very little that separates these teams.
It really isn't, Kaz. You know, when you see games like that, it just kind of, and that was at the beginning of the season as well. Yeah. So I think, you know, they'll have developed, they'll have worked on things, they'll have planned and prepped. So, yeah, I'm so excited for this game.
It's going to be an absolutely fantastic final today. And again, stay tuned after this game, because at 4 o'clock we have the men's final coming up between the Hemel Storm and the Reading Rockets. But right now, coming out on court, it is the women's final. Ipswich against the Brent Bulls. Can Ipswich retain their title, or will Brent take their first title home as a club? The first team in the Brent programme to make it to a final. And it's great to see the support out there, the travelling Ipswich fans. We've got some travelling Brent fans as well, making the long trip up to Manchester, but so much support, and you know, they can get very loud, can't they?
Yeah, they really can. I mean, I think the Blue Wings are enough to put any away team off, to be honest with you. See a few of them bobbing about. I think they just need to get a few of them sat underneath the basket, Brent's basket, so that when Judith is taking a free throws, like we've got an NBA kind of wall behind us. So for the tip, it will be Louisa Gibbons for Ipswich and Lindsey Cleary for Brent. Ball's up and the National Cup Finals underway. It's Davids with the first possession for Brent, working her way around the outside. Fritz into Cleary. Cleary, oh, what a move, and Gibbons got a hand on that, knocks it out of bounds. It's going to stay with Ipswich. And Louisa Gibbons, Hannah, she is the type of player that makes that move. Like, that's not going to show up on the stat sheet, but she's very, very effective underneath the basket. Yeah, she really is.
David, up pass to Cleary, can't finish underneath the hoop, tips the ball though. Gets it out, 10 seconds on the shot clock. Accra. Into Cleary, 4 seconds. Accra driving baseline, hangs in the air, won't go. And another offensive board for Brent as Cleary, long two won't hit. Gibbons puts a stop to it. And Keys is out on the break for Ipswich. First points of the game for Ipswich goes to Maisie Keys. And an interception by Keys. Cleary fouls her on the break, but Maisie Keys coming out firing here, Hannah.
Yeah, she really has. You know, she's a young player. I've had the privilege of coaching her. She's fiery and she's just so talented. So I think, you know, it's really great to see where she's developed and how far she's developed at Ipswich this year.
Had a big game yesterday in the under-18, 17 points. And that is the kind of example of her perfect play there. She gets into those passing lanes. She's a really tough defender. She'll steal the ball. You see a long wingspan.
Yeah.
She's able to get out, and then she runs as well.
Yeah, she really does.
Leach for Ipswich, runs into traffic. 3 won't fall for Wormold. Gibbons with another rebound, and it's Wellham calling for the screen. Shot clock running down, 3 seconds. Gibbons looking to go inside and makes it. And Ipswich making the most of the shot clock there.
They are. They're setting up in a trap right now, Kaz. Ipswich signature defence.
3 doesn't fall for Bishop. And out of bounds goes with Ipswich. So a fast start for both teams. Some good looks there from Brent. Hasn't got the ball to fall yet, but you know, both teams coming out with energy.
Really are.
Gibbons inside, spins to the basket. And a quick snuffing start here for Ipswich. Accra all alone underneath the hoop will get Brent on the board. Keys sets it up for Ipswich. Wellham hands it off to Leach. 3 doesn't drop. She hit 4 yesterday in the 3rd quarter in the under-18s game. She is a dangerous 3-point shooter, as is Eleanor Bishop, but can't get hers to drop. As Keys again racing to the basket, steps through with the reverse, and Maisie Keys with 4 points here in the 1st quarter. Bishop has to back it out. Davids with the long 2 and spins out.
I think someone's put cling film over that basket.
It's just spinning out, isn't it? Keys, 3's no good, and Accra with the rebound. Miscommunication on the pass as it's back with Ipswich. Wellham lines up a 3, too strong, and it's picked up by Davids. Davids all the way to the hoop.
You know, that was a great bounce out from her down there at the other end, and then she drives it down.
Wellham racing down the court, high in off the glass, and that's just classic Harriet Wellham, isn't it?
It really is.
So a timeout called as teams will talk things over, but Hannah, 8-4 here to Ipswich after just 3.5 minutes. 4 points for Maisie Keys and Louisa Gibbons. And Accra and Davids with 2 points each for the Bulls. So just a fast and frantic start for both teams.
Yeah, it really has. And, you know, like we say, you come into these games, you can be a little bit nervous. Sometimes it does take the first 4 minutes just to settle and get into it. I think, you know, what's quite interesting is both teams are coming out in a zone press. Ipswich both looking for the trap. Same with Brent. You know, Ipswich are famous for that defensive trap. They're very good at getting quick scores off it. What I like is the fact that Brent have come out and trying to give Ipswich a taste of their own medicine. You know, I think a lot of teams get very intimidated when they come across this trap by Ipswich. I have myself, but you know, Brent have shown that it is easy to break down with some easy, quick passes along the half court. Usually, you'll have a couple of players at the other end waiting ready for the open layup. You know, we had Vanessa Accra at that end then. She was wide open, and I think Brent just needs to settle down a little bit, look for the easy passes, and hopefully we'll get some more points on the board.
Definitely an interesting to see as well. Ipswich really pushing the ball. We know they're a team that like to play in the fast break, like to get out into transition. They lead the league in fast break points with 17.9. Brent, though, in second with 15.4, so not too much in it, but we've seen Ipswich showing us exactly what they want to do.
Yeah.
Accra to Davids. Davids swings it to the corner. Bishop, her 3, too strong, but rebound inside for Fritz. can't get the hook shot to fall. As Wellham down the court at the other end into Gibbons. Keys. Again, Keys stepping through to the basket. Her footwork inside is fantastic.
It really is. You know, she's got those foundations absolutely laid.
As Cleary looks to go inside for Brent. High off the glass. Not that time. Gibbons alone in the corner. She'll try a three. Davids grabs the rebound. And you can see Wormald just reading that pass, trying to go after the interception. Doesn't come up with the ball, but they're the kind of disruptive plays Ipswich are going to put on.
Yeah, they will. You know, it's that hustle. They're fighting after everything, getting their hand in the passing lane. Brent can't sleep on that. They cannot just assume that, you know, that pass is open. You've got someone running in and taking it right back off you.
And Wormald as well, keep an eye on her because she's third in Division 1 in steals per game. Sorry, she has 3 steals per game, and she is 7th in Division 1. So she's going to get out and take that ball away from you.
Yeah, she really is.
So an 8-second violation. Again, it's that tough defense from Ipswich. Will put the ball back in their hands as it's Keys to inbound. And a foul called on the floor.
I think that was on Judit.
Yeah, so that's the second team foul on Brent this quarter. First on Fritz. So Ipswich go again from the baseline. Wellham as Wormald. Long two is nothing but net. And Ipswich now up to a 10-point lead. Bishop has Fritz up ahead. And as you said, Hannah, that's the difficulty with the trap, isn't it? Someone's going to be open at the other end.
Yeah, you know, you can't sleep on that. You've got to make sure that, you know, you're covering all bases. And once that trap breaks down, you have to sprint back on defense.
Keys racing baseline, gets to the basket. Amazing. Keys up to 8 points personal in the first quarter. And she's showing absolutely no signs of being tired after the under-18 game yesterday.
It's the beauty of being 18.
Davids to Bishop. Fritz has space for 3. Doesn't drop. And a jump ball's called. It'll go with Ipswich, but that's what Brent need to do. They need to try and get those offensive boards. They had the first possession of the game, they had several. And the team that lead Division 1 in rebounds per game with just over 15. That's kind of their bread and butter of the game as Bishop steals the ball. Brent have numbers here. Bishop thought about the shot, gets it to Davids. Hands off underneath, but it's picked off by Wormald. As Keys again to the basket, takes the contact. Maisie Keys, count that, and the foul. What a first quarter she's having.
Oh, she really is. You know, she's fantastic. She's taken that contact right into the basket, really focusing on the finishing. She did struggle a little bit yesterday. She was struggling with the layups in the first half, but she's kind of obviously come back, had a rethink, and come back today ready to play.
And that's really the key, isn't it, as well? It's almost like having a short memory for some of these players, isn't it? You need to sometimes put one game behind you and just go on to the next one.
Yeah, especially after yesterday, you know, Ipswich, they did struggle in the first half. So I think for today, she's come out gunning.
And we see Hannah Gray check into the game for the first time for Ipswich as Keys converts a 3-point play. Fritz looking for some space. Shot still won't drop for Brent as Wellham at the other end. Too strong off the glass, but Louisa Gibbons fighting 3 Ipswich players for the rebound. And Maisie Keys cannot be stopped in the first quarter. 14 of Ipswich's 22 points as Fritz looks to answer. That bounces out. And it's Keys again on the break, racing to the hoop. Davids will knock it out of bounds. So end line ball for Ipswich. Wormold, long two. He's good, and Ipswich up 18 here in the first quarter. We got 3.5 minutes to play.
You know, Brent are getting the looks right now. They're just not dropping for them.
As Saruna Guta's shot grazes the rim. Ball's knocked out of bounds, so goes back with Brent. And that's Vanessa Accra there on defense, being, I like to call her a pest in the nicest possible way.
So tough. I love it. She's one of my favourite players to play against because you could just really have a battle with her. And it's like none of it's taken personally. It's like just, you know,
it's
go
purely
at each other.
Yeah. Guta round to Accra. Fritz, Accra. Three's up. Not that time. Gibbons out to Keys. Keys for three. That one doesn't fall, but Gibbons with another offensive board. Wormold finds Keys. Wellham, good ball movement here from Ipswich. Keys will try another three. That one doesn't drop. I think the Ipswich crowd would have exploded if that one had fallen. Brent looking for an answer here as Fritz goes coast to coast and drops that in for Brent.
Yeah, she will do that, you know. She's gonna go, she's someone that likes to score. You give her an open lane, she's taking it.
Gray to Wellham, and a reaching foul called on Cleary. And that's just going to be the second foul on Cleary for Brent. So she's going to head to the bench as Jin Yude and Millie Watkins substitute in for Brent, get their first minutes of the game. Wellham hits the three, and Ipswich are relentless here in the first quarter. Davids to Fritz. Watkins out to Fritz, she's got space. And it's like there's a lid on the basket here for Brent.
They can't buy a basket today, Brent. But, you know, this is what was up with Ipswich yesterday in the 18s. You know, they were down by 20 points at half-time.
And we saw them with a huge 27-point third quarter, came back, brought it to a 6-point game. So it's almost like Brent might here just need to try and get to the end of the first quarter, reset, just, you know, and like you said earlier, put it behind them, take on the second.
Yeah, as a player, that's what is going through your mind right now. You don't look at the scoreboard. You don't take that into account. For you, the game's still on. You know, you're just pushing through and getting those scores.
You see Ipswich making it really difficult to get the ball over half court. Watkins' shot deflected by Ipswich as Gray racing down, finds Wellham in the corner. Ball's on the floor. Watkins tries to save it, knocked out of bounds, and I think that was Louisa Gibbons there forcing it for the last touch to be Brent.
That's a smart move by Gibbons there.
The ball's in, Gibbons to Gray. Wormold round to Wellham. Wellham with the catch and shoot three. And it's a 30-point first quarter for Ipswich. Gudza backs it down. Back to Gudza. Three spins out. And ball's loose, picked up by Davids. Racing down the court, hands it off to Gudza. Layup doesn't drop. As Gray tries to find space, kicks it out to Wormold. And a foul called on Ipswich. And that's just the first team foul on Ipswich the whole quarter, Hannah.
Yeah, they've been quite disciplined. You know, it has been a scrappy game, so I think for them, they've been playing well to really keep themselves off the fouls.
So Holly Ensel in for Ipswich. 29.6 seconds. And Eleanor Bishop back in for Brent. The 6-second difference between the shot and game clock. Bishop to Jude in the corner. 3 hits for Brent, and that's a good sign for Brent towards the end of the quarter. 13 seconds, so Ipswich can hold for the last shot. Wellham. She can hit from that range, so it wouldn't have surprised us if she shot from there. Gray, she'll put up a 3. Not that time. And that will do it for the end of the first quarter. So a dominant display from Ipswich. 30 points to 11 in the first. A massive 14 points from Maisie Keys herself. And Harriet Wellham adding in 8 points. And for Brent, it's been Judit Fritz leading the way with 4, Jude with 3. But Hannah, a very, very strong start for Ipswich.
It really is. But what's interesting, Kaz, if you look at the stats, Brent have actually put up more shots than Ipswich. They've had 24 attempts. Ipswich have only had 23, but Ipswich is going in. That's the thing, it's all about finishing right now for Brent. They just need to really control that basket and control the way that they're handling the basketball. But, you know, that's Ipswich. You know, they come in, they're ready to play, and they're just a force to be reckoned with. And for them to come in like this in the first quarter and score 30 points, makes it for an interesting start.
And you mentioned that Ipswich aren't shooting as much, but they're shooting 90% from the 2-point range. That's wild.
It really is. It really is.
17 rebounds for Ipswich compared to Brent's 13. Brent with 6 offensive though, but no second chance points. Very unusual for this team.
Yeah, it really is. You know, usually you've got Vanessa Rocker and Lindsey Cleary fighting for those boards, and then they'll capitalise on that and they'll get those second chance points. It's just not happening for them today. So I think for them, that's something now that they're probably really focusing on their team talk. Sometimes you just have to clear your mind a bit. You know, when you know that things aren't dropping, you just have to play as if they are. Because if you start getting bogged down on that, that's when you kind of get into your own head, and you can't afford to do that in a final like today.
And is it a case of you want to kind of try and get those stops, because sometimes, you know, take charges, get stops, get a steal, because that defense can also lead to the offense?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it, Gav.
So back out on court for the second quarter. It's going to be Ipswich ball to start things off. Kerris Leach will inbound. She had the hot hand from 3 yesterday in the under-18s game. Has a couple of rebounds and an assist already for Ipswich. And it's into Wormold. Gray. Back to Wormold. And Ensol inside, one of the players playing in yesterday's under-18 game, as Wellham drives to the hoop, gets the friendly roll, and Wellham increases her tally to 10. And Harriet Wellham, a 2-time National Cup MVP, was the MVP last time out when Ipswich beat Thames Valley. As Goods' shot just spins out, that was practically all the way down the hole.
It really was. I think that should be counted, guys.
So Gudza takes the contact. And that's a foul on Ipswich, and that's going to put the ball in the hands of Brent on the end line. I think Brent were expecting a shooting foul, but Cole was on the floor before the shot.
Yeah. It's just a bit of confusion about that.
Serena Gudza, playing in a second season with Brent, was with Ipswich for several years before, so playing against their old team. As Bishop catch and shoot 3. And that's a good start there for the quarter for Brent.
Yeah, they've just got to keep this going now.
As ball's kicked, it'll be a reset from the sideline for Ipswich. Leach, long pass over to Wormold, has space behind the line. It's picked up by Brent. You can see Ipswich still playing in that pressure, full court defense. As Gudza uses the screen from Watkins, back to Watkins with the short jumper. It's too strong.
I don't think she's quite settled then with her feet.
Leach's shot just too far underneath the basket. Good D from Brent being able to get back. An games like this, and it's a case of almost can you cut this to a 10-point lead? You don't need to look at it as in the larger context of the lead that Ipswich have here. Ipswich just need to Brent just need to chip into it.
Yeah, they really do. They just got to chip away at it.
So a foul called on Ipswich there. So after we talked about them being very disciplined in the first quarter, 2 quick fouls within the first 90 seconds or so for Ipswich, but that's something that Brent can try and take advantage of, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
So back into the game for Ipswich, Louisa Gibbons and Maisie Keys.
I think right now on offense for Brent, the ball's sticking a little bit too much. They're not shifting this Ipswich zone. You know, you really have to swing the ball from one side to the other, create those open gaps, create those lanes, and it'll give you then the opportunity to drive the basket.
And when they have been driving, that's when it's been dropping, hasn't it? We've seen Serena Naguza do it. As Naguza gets it in to Jude. Her 3 doesn't go, and Wellham skies in for the rebound. Out to Keys. Wormold, no look, good ball movement here again from Ipswich. They're very quick at passing the ball around as Leach, her 3 doesn't drop, but you see Louisa Gibbons just racing to save the ball as Fritz read the pass, going to the hole, and it's off the rim, and it's just unlucky for Brent for those ones just not to drop.
Yeah, you know, but you can't afford in a final to not have those layups. It was a wide open layup, you have to make them.
As well, increases the Ipswich lead at the other end. And pass is knocked out of bounds. It's going to go with Ipswich. And Ipswich as well, they've been substituting well, going to the bench maybe a little bit more than Brent have.
Yeah, but what's interesting, if you look at their bench in comparison to Brent, you know, the depth is there, but you know, the numbers aren't either.
Brent playing without Kanisha White today due to injury. As Wellham doesn't get her 3 to go, but another offensive board, and Maisie Keys has a short 3, but again, another chance on offense for Ipswich. As Watkins dives on the ball, Bishop looking to hand off. As Gudza swings it to the corner, Udall try a 3, and again spins out at a foul underneath the basket. I think will that be on Wellham? It looked like kind of
so.
Had a bit of a hold underneath the hoop. We can see there. So 3 team fouls on Ipswich, and that'll be. Oh no, that was on Gibbons. Apologies, it wasn't on Wellham. Fritz thought about a deep shot. Looking to create some space. 4 seconds on the shot clock. Fritz met by Gibbons. And Louisa Gibbons having a block party.
That was a monster block from Louisa Gibbons.
So Gibbons, she's verbally committed to the University of Vermont in NCAA Division 1 for next season. So a huge opportunity for her. And great to see the recognition of how well she's played throughout her time in Ipswich, being rewarded with an offer like that. Shot clock winding down, Wellham against Gudza. Wellham, ball's out of bounds, and that's the defense we need to see from Brent.
Yeah, it really is. They need to be getting those hands in the passing lanes, forcing the bad passes, pushing them as wide as possible. You know, if you can set your zone up above the perimeter and above the 3-point line, it can be a really tough to beat.
So Rocky Davids back into the game for Brent. Jinyude heading to the bench. Gudza trying to get to the basket. Into Watkins, and there is just, as he said, it's a lid on the basket for Brent at the moment. As Gibbons finds Keys out to Wellham. That's too much space for Wellham, and she'll make you pay. And the way Ipswich move the ball so fast, so quickly, it means Brent are really having to rush to get out to the shooter.
Yeah, they really are.
Bishop to Watkins. Fritz. Fritz is doubled. Gudza has space for 3. Off the back iron. Well, tough move to the basket. She's going to draw the foul, and that's going to put her at the line. And we should wish Harriet Wellham a very happy birthday. I mean, that's pretty cool, isn't it? Playing in a National Cup final on your birthday.
Yeah, it really is.
And Wellham, just an absolutely electric player every time that she's out on court. 2-time National Cup MVP. 3-time Division 1 Player of the Year. She's just achieved so much throughout the course of her career, hasn't she? And coming in to this season as the leading scorer in Division 1, WNBL Division 1, with 2,468 points. But what's absolutely, that's impressive in itself. What's even more impressive is that the person in second place, Nadej Stalva, is nearly 1,000 points behind her.
I mean, do you know what, Kaz? I'm actually not surprised either. Do you know what I mean? She's just one of those players.
She just scores, doesn't she? Averages 25 points per game in Division 1. Gets the second that takes her up to 17, and we're not even at half-time.
Yeah.
So a reset from the sideline for Brent. Vanessa Acra's back in the game for the Bulls. And that'll be foul number 4 on Ipswich.
Ipswich not being as disciplined this quarter. Now, I don't know whether that's fatigue or, you know, kind of maybe getting a bit excited about the lead, but I think they really need to keep keep an eye on that.
As Davids gets it to Acra. Bishop. Fritz with a deep 3. Won't go, but Acra gets the rebound. Can't finish at the rim. Fighting for the ball. It's Wellham that comes up with it, pushing it down the court as Danny Casey all the way to the rim. And the finishing for Ipswich as well on those fast breaks, it's been perfect, hasn't it?
It really has.
Fritz works against Gibbons. Bishop finds space for 3. Doesn't drop. And with Ipswich on 14 fouls here, Hannah, so the 3 isn't really falling for Brent at the moment. Do you maybe try drive inside, try get that 5th foul and maybe chip away at this from the line?
Yeah, definitely. I think, you know, right now, Ipswich have dropped to a man. So I think, you know, it gives you a bit more space to kind of work with. And I think driving to the basket is a perfect game play for them.
18 points in the paint for Ipswich, 8 for Brent, as Wellham. 3's no good. And ball's nearly intercepted, but Davids keeps it alive. As Maisie Keys picks it up at the other side for Ipswich, and a foul will be called on Fritz. And we now see as well, Hannah, so Lindsey Cleary back into the game. She has those 2 fouls, has sat for a little while, but could she be a bit of a game changer coming off the bench?
I hope she is. I really do. And she is one of those players that you have to be afraid when she comes off the bench.
And that foul's on Fritz. That's her second. As the ball's kicked, so Ipswich again take it from the sideline. 4.5 minutes to play here in the first half. Wellham. Casey alone in the corner. Hands it off to Wormold. Shot clock running down, 4 seconds. Good D there from Cleary. Gibbons. Running floater. Not sure how she made that one.
I mean, the composure when she took that shot was fantastic.
Acra gets it over to Fritz. Fritz with a hook shot. Banks it in.
I held my breath then, Kaz.
I thought the way it's been going for Brent, you expected it to just pop back out again.
I did.
Gibbons finds Keys. Casey launches from deep and nails it. And the 3-point shooting continues for Ipswich, having hit 5 so far, 2 for Brent. And the ball's knocked out of bounds, goes with Ipswich. And again, I can't speak highly enough of this Ipswich defense, Hannah. It's smothering.
It really is.
Gibbons inside. And that's going to be on the floor, but that's going to be on Cleary. So that is Cleary's 3rd foul of the game. So I would expect we're going to see her go to the bench.
Yeah.
Because that's a really tough foul to pick up with still 3 minutes to play in the 2nd quarter. So Millie Watkins checking in.
Yeah. That's a struggle. That's a struggle. We don't like to question refs, but I'd like a replay of that one.
It's tough, so it's going to be who can step up, who can step into Lindsey Cleary's place as Maddie Wormold continues the barrage from outside for Ipswich. But it is a case, isn't it, of next woman up, Hannah, who can step into Cleary's place. We know Vanessa Accra inside is a really tough rebounder. Davids finds Accra, as she heard us, said, I can rebound, but I can score as well.
You know, and it's those plays that Brent are fantastic at, and those, they need to stick to their game plan. Continue those little inside shots.
Rebounds saved in by Ipswich. Deep 3 again from Casey. And after a slightly slow start by their standards for Ipswich, they've really turned it on here in the 2nd half of the 2nd quarter. Wellham already up to 17 points personal as Accra's double gets it to Bishop. Bishop drives the baseline, it's short. Watkins picks it up and reset for Brent. Bishop, her 3 off the rim. And it's just inches, Hannah, that it's not going Brent's way. Centimetres even. It's
it really is.
Such small margins.
I've nearly broke my pen because I'm tensing up that much every time they shoot. You know, I think for them, it's not that they're not playing like they normally do, you know. For some reason, it's just not dropping today, you know. But like I said before, you cannot think it, you can't overthink it. You just have to carry on doing what you're doing. No miracle is going to come out of nowhere and make it start dropping.
And I mean, eventually they will, won't they? That's just the nature of it. As Fritz goes all the way to the hole. And a 3-point play opportunity here for Judit Fritz. As a timeout calls before the shot. I always feel like it's like icing the kicker, that, isn't it? Like you want the team top before. So a 52-20 lead for Ipswich over the Brent Bulls. Just under 2 minutes to play here in the 1st half. It's really been an incredible performance from Ipswich. Maisie Keys with 14 points and 2 assists, and Harriet Wellham celebrating her birthday with 17 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists and a steal. Their 3-point shooting hitting 7 from behind the arc, and unfortunately their 2-point shooting has dropped. It's dropped by 3% to 87%. Shooting 14 of 16 from 2-point range. That's incredibly impressive for nearly 2 quarters of basketball gone.
Yeah, it really is. And again, Cav, if you look at the stats, Brent have scored, have attempted 41 field goals. Ipswich have only attempted 40. So they are getting the looks, you know, they really are. And I think they've just got to continue with their game plan, you know. The last couple of plays we've had with the inside pass into Vanessa and Judit Stride, that is what Brent are about. That's their offense. But when the ball sticks and it just gets slowly passed about the perimeter, they're not shifting Ipswich. They're not creating those gaps. They're not creating those lanes. And that's when they tend to fall apart. And I think for them as well, it's a bit, it creates that stagnant.
So Judit Fritz hits the free throw, and that's just Brent's 1st free throw of the game so far. Ipswich having only had 3 themselves, but neither team in particular getting to the line as Keys kicks it to the corner. Gibbons working inside, double teamed. Watkins gets a hand on it and grabs the ball.
That was a smart play by Watkins there.
And Watkins, a really experienced player. Spent 6 years in the WBBL with the Sevenoaks Suns, so, you know, she's a winner and she knows what it takes. Davids. Watkins looks to Fritz. 7 seconds. Fritz, as you say, and it's that ball sticking a little bit as Accra turns and shoots. Doesn't get it to fall in. It's going to be Ipswich ball. Just the movement maybe isn't there as much for Brent as they'd like it to be.
Yeah.
Keys directs a team. Finds Wellham. Wellham with a space to the basket. Gets the foul call, so that puts Harriet Wellham back at the foul line. Wellham with 17 points for Ipswich. As Deanna Carrington checking into the game for Ipswich. Maddie Wormel taking a well-deserved rest. She's got 7 points, along with 2 steals and 3 rebounds. And Deanna Carrington, Hannah, she's the type of player that we saw yesterday for the under-18s game, but she's the type of player that doesn't have to score to impact the game. She works really hard off the ball, and she does all those little things that are so valuable. Yeah,
she's one of my favourite players, you know, for Ipswich. Like you say, she moves the ball really well, but she also hustles really hard on defence, and that has such a greater impact on the team and their performance.
So Wellham hits the free throws, takes her up to 19. As Brent looking for an answer here to the end of the second quarter, looking to get to half-time as Accra is doubled. Watkins with a short jumper. And a long pass over from Wellham to Gibbons. Into Carrington underneath the hoop. And it's knocked out of bounds. But Harriet Wellham, is she in the NFL this week? I mean, that's like a
But again,
full-court
that's something that she looks to do, you know. They don't go for every defensive rebound. Sorry, they get every single defensive rebound. They're looking for those players that are leaking. And you've got, you know, Maisie and Louisa sprinting down, and Brent can't sleep on that.
31 rebounds for Ipswich compared to Brent's 21. 10-second difference between the shot and game clock here. Accra into Davids. Davids passes out. Bishop with 5 seconds. Oh, what a find underneath the basket. You can't finish. As Keys kicks it to Casey. And deflected, but Carrington comes up with it, and it's Keys again to the hoop. And you see Maisie Keys with that long reach, Hannah. She has such a long wingspan and just almost flicks the ball up, kicks it off the glass.
Yeah. I mean, for her, she's just such a great young talent to see, and to see her really come out of her shell and develop at Ipswich. I think it's exciting. It's really exciting to see what she's going to bring to the future.
Certainly is, and such a young player as well on this stage, just showing out and showcasing what she can do. So at half-time, 56 to Ipswich, 21 to the Brent Bulls. It was a dominant first half from Ipswich. 30 points for them in the first quarter, 24 in the second, 11 for Brent in the first quarter, and 10 in the second. Obviously, Lindsey Cleary in foul trouble with 3 fouls has made Brent maybe have to change their game plan a little bit. So going to be very interesting to see how they adjust coming out of half-time.
Yeah, I think you're right there. I think that has kind of put a bit of a spanner in the works for them, so it'll be interesting to see what they come out with.
So, thank you to everybody watching live here on the Basketball England YouTube channel. We'll have the second half coming up, but before we do, Hannah is going to head courtside with Isha Nair to give us a recap of what has been another exciting final. It's been Ipswich running things in the first half, but as we saw in yesterday's game, and as we see throughout all the games in Division 1, it doesn't mean anything. It's got to be anybody's game. It can be anybody's game, and we saw yesterday Ipswich were down in a similar position yesterday in the under-18 girls game. They came back with a huge 27-point third quarter, so we'll see how Brent can make their adjustments, but leading the way for the Bulls so far at the moment, it's Judit Fritz, who has 9 points and 4 rebounds, playing the full first half. And behind her, it is Vanessa Accra, 4 points and 3 rebounds. So we're going to go courtside with Isha Nair and Hannah Alter. So over to you, Isha and Hannah.
Thanks, Kaz. So yeah, I'm here now courtside of Hannah. Hannah, really no words for that burst. That was definitely not what we were expecting. What do you think of that?
Yeah, you're right, Isha. We really weren't expecting that. You know, we were expecting kind of like a dominant game from both sides, but I think Ipswich came out today and they really, really put their all onto that court today. You know, I think they came out on an absolute run. Maisie's keys with those points and the back-to-back scores, I think really got the momentum for Ipswich, and that's what kind of gave them the lead in this first half.
Yeah, I mean, especially considering their score in the league, we were expecting this to be quite a close game. I mean, Ipswich are up by quite a significant margin. Brent really they look like they kind of don't know what to do against them here. So Ipswich, they're kind of known for their zone. They came out in a zone. Brent couldn't really get through to, they couldn't get through to the zone. They were setting for the outside shot. What do you think Brent needs to look at doing next quarter, next half?
I mean, you know, like we said, Ipswich are famous for this zone. You know, they're famous for this trap defence. They've been running it for years. So I wouldn't be surprised if they've been preparing for this. You know, Kenrick must have had the plan, had a game plan, and they'll have been implemented in some ways to break this zone in practice. So they just need to stick to their game plan. You know, they'll have come up with something and they'll have been running it. You know, we both know, we've both played them teams. You prep the week before and you work out your game plan to break the zone. So I think they just need to go back to what they've been planning, and they really need to move the ball more. You know, I think for them right now, the ball is sticking way too much on offense. They need to actually take a look at what Ipswich are doing. You know, Ipswich are moving that ball fast. They're swinging it to the opposite side, making that defence shift, and I think that's what Brent needs to do. Right now, they need to create some space, really create some open looks, because when they're getting them, they're going in. You know, you've got Vanessa Acker cutting beautifully under the basket, getting some nice under the basket scores, and Judit Fritz is able to drive. So I think for them, their focus to get right now is offense.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, so then let's take a look at Ipswich and look at their defense. So, I mean, the scoreboard can tell us that offensively they're doing all right. Oh, sorry, no. Let me just rephrase what I'm saying. Brent. Let's go and take a look at Brent defensively. I mean, we've talked about Ipswich's zone, spoken about how Brent have faced that against that. If we take a look at Brent's defense, though, so obviously initially they came out in a man, but we saw that second quarter they actually came out in a zone. Do you think that worked for them? I mean, obviously they switched back out. What do you think kind of is going to work best for them?
I think playing a zone is quite risky against Ipswich. You know, you've got Harriet Wellham, you've got Maisie Keys, and I think, you know, you've got Warmland as well. They are hot from the perimeter. So for them to come out in a zone, I wonder what their game plan was, what their thought around that was, because I think realistically, yes, you've got Louisa Gibbons who's tough inside, but you've got the likes of Vanessa Acker and you've got Watkins who can cover her. So realistically, I think a man is probably a bit more successful for them right now. You know, they've got some really good steals. You've got Judith getting a hand in the passing lane. She forced the turnover a few times, got some open layups. So I think for them, realistically, I think a man is their best game plan of attack right now. You know, they are forcing Ipswich quite high, so they are kind of, if they're settling into this zone, they do need to sit a bit higher up, because that's then forcing Harriet Wellham too far out. And I think, you know, I mean, she will have a go. We know she will take a chance at a deep three, but I think for them right now, they just kind of need to rethink their plan. For me, I would go for the man. I would stick with the man.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, when you've got a team like Ipswich who are all shooters, as you say, like being in a zone, allowing that outside shot, maybe isn't really the best idea. So if we look at the field goal percentage now, Brent are on 20%, but they've actually taken more shots than Ipswich. Then if you take a look at Ipswich, who are shooting 50%, 40 shots, made half of them. Brent have shot 44 and only 20%. Yeah. What do you make of that?
I mean, me and Kaz keep saying it, you know, they can't buy a basket at the minute, you know, and I think for them, that we've said it before, that coming into an event like this, and especially if you've not been to an arena like this, it can be quite overwhelming. You can get, you know, the nerves are hitting you, what have you. But for it to be so far different, the difference to be so far, I think is quite concerning. And I think for them, they really need to refocus. Come back out at half-time, take some practice shots. I mean, for all we know, somebody could really have put cling film on that basket.
I mean, they were fiddling with it at the start of the game. Rob Fairley has some questions to answer.
Yeah,
he really
he does actually. So I think you know, they've got to come out, focus on taking some layups, really get into that mindset, you know, and just control your shot. You know, take the time, don't rush it. And you know, you can see it again when they're kind of moving the ball on the offense. You know, Eleanor Bishop, she's a great perimeter three, but the passes she's been receiving haven't been quite there for her, so she's not set, she's not ready to take those shots. So I think it all works down to kind of like moving the ball and just kind of taking his time and, you know, not getting too overworked with it.
Yeah, I mean, so second half, hopefully, Brent will be able to shoot a little bit better. I mean, they were fiddling around with that basket for quite a while, I think they were fixing the net, they were changing the net. Brent weren't shooting for about maybe 5-10 minutes, which I'm not trying to make any excuses for Brent here, but that is quite a long time, whether or not that maybe threw them off a bit mentally, because at the end of the day, it is a final, it's like one of the biggest stages in the country, it is a mental game as well, so maybe that threw them off, but second half, different basket, hopefully it can take the lid off. One thing that Brent needs to do better in the second half.
Finish. You know, the stats say it all. The fact that they've taken more shots and they've not made as many, it's finishing.
Yeah, so for Ipswich, I mean, obviously they're up by a large margin. I mean, I would ask what do they need to do better, but there is still the rest of the season, so whether or not they play well now, there might be some small things that Nick Drane might think, oh, we need to look at for future games. What do you think that might be?
Yeah, I think for them as well, one thing to focus on is possibly the fouling. They did a great job in the first quarter, and they stayed really disciplined. But now in the second quarter, whether it was fatigue or kind of maybe a bit of loss of focus, they did start to hit some fouls, and I think that's something that Nick Drane will have to focus on and really take into consideration.
Definitely. I mean, I don't want to speak too soon, but standout performers who might be contenders for finals MVP here?
I mean, I think we can't ignore Maisie Keys. You know, that what a great start for the young talent, and I think she's really done herself proud today. So I really hope that she can add some more points to that board, and yeah, possibly a contender.
Definitely. Maisie Keys, young talent, obviously spent all her time at Manchester, now come to Ipswich. Anyone else on Ipswich who you might think?
You know, I think Louise has had a fantastic game as well for her. You know, she's been at the boards, 12 rebounds for her today so far in this first half. That's astronomical. So I think for her, she's just got to keep going for those boards, keep fighting, and yeah, hopefully she'll prove herself as well.
I think Harriet has a chance of getting that third finals MVP.
I didn't want to say it because I just thought it was an obvious choice. So I was trying to be a bit different, Isha.
Fair enough.
But of course, Harriet Wellham, you know, 19 points. 19 points there with 6 rebounds and 5 assists. I mean, I think she's probably well on her way to a double today.
Probably. So, as much as Brent are down, anyone who's having kind of, not necessarily stats-wise, but think on the court who's performing particularly well. Obviously, we know they had some finishing struggles finishing, but
I think Judit Fritz has been fantastic. Her energy, if you watch her energy on court, she's high up on the defense. She's getting a hand in the passing lane. She's been really tough. She's going after everything, and that's what you need in a final. That's what you need to kind of bring your team along with. So I think for me right now, she's my top performer for Brent.
Sounds good. So obviously, yesterday was a day of zones. Today, looking like it could be a day of zones again. For now, we're going to take a quick break. We've got 4 minutes until we go back to the game. And yeah, we're going to have a little break.
Thanks, Isha. Thanks, Hannah. So the second half coming up in around 4.5 minutes time, and great to see a showcase there just at halftime. It was a showcase from the Do Sport UK. You can go on dosportuk.co.uk. They provide sport and physical activity for people with learning disabilities and or autism. They make sport accessible to all and provide inclusive activities, doing a really great job. So do sportuk.co.uk if you want to find out more about them. They'll be also having a showcase with the men's players during the half-time show for the men's game. That's coming up at 4 o'clock, and that will be between the Hemel Storm and the Reading Rockets. John Hobbs and Will Reed taking you through that one. But for now, we're getting ready for the second half between Ipswich and the Brent Bulls. And Ipswich, as Hannah and Isha said, a dominant first half from Ipswich, shooting an incredible 88% from the 2-point range, hitting 7 from behind the arc, and they're rebounding 34 rebounds to Brent's 21. Now we see Lindsey Cleary on the bench with 3 fouls. And as we said, that's going to have to mean Brent make a bit of an adjustment in that second half, Hannah. Or is it a case of, I mean, Brent are down here, so do you put Cleary on instead of trying to save her?
I don't know. I really don't know on this one because I think she's such a dominant player and she's such a key player for Brent right now. I think they do have some questions to kind of work out here. I think, you know, you could question whether actually this was Ipswich game plan. You know, this was part of their game plan, drawing those fouls to have that, you know, have that impact. But I think, you know, she's such an experienced player that she knows going in to be disciplined, to be smart. You know, you are wary of it when you go on court. So I think for her, it's just about going back on now, having an impact in other ways, hoping that, you know, the rest of the team can then cover her. Sometimes that's an option, you know, if you know you've got a teammate who's, you know, borderline on getting fouled out, you'll help them and cover them under the basket so that they're not putting themselves at risk.
Almost use yourself as a distraction.
Yes, basically. So I think for that, that's another thing, an option for them there.
And for Ipswich, you guys kind of call it in the half-time, but keep doing what you're doing because it is working, and it's working very, very well.
Yeah, it really is. You know, they've got some players going on some runs here. You know, we had Maisie in the first quarter, and we've got Warmland as well. She's got some good looks, and Louisa Gibbons. So I think, you know, it's really nice as well to see how spread their score is. You know, they've got 5 players there on very high scores. You know, there's not just kind of 2 points here, 2 points there. It's all of them really hitting. So I think it's quite balanced for them, and they've just got to keep doing what they're doing.
And you called around, especially at halftime as well, Louisa Gibbons, 6 points but 12 rebounds, 5 of them offensive. She's been getting those chances, hasn't she?
Yeah, she really has. She's been bullying away under the basket, and I think she's just doing fantastic. She needs to be tough, and we've got fans.
Where's security?
She's just being tough, but that's what we expected of her. You know, she's been brilliant.
It is, and Louisa Gibbons, just another name throughout the Ipswich programme that has had an offer from Division 1 or made the move over to the States. We saw Liv Forster, Yasmin Edwards do it, but as a programme, they really prepare their players, don't they?
Yeah, they really do, and I just think it's a credit to Nick Drane as well and what he's running over there. I'd also like to know what's in the water in Ipswich. That would be a good investigation.
I think it's a 3-point shooting magic, isn't it?
It really is.
And for Brent, so obviously they're without Kanisha White today with an injury and have a slightly shorter bench than Ipswich do, but we've seen Saruna Gudza come off the bench, grabbed a rebound and assist, but Gudza's defense is, again, it's a real testament to Brent and the way they play, but throughout the season, Gudza, one of those really strong players off the ball, and again makes an impact without having to score. She can score, but she doesn't have to.
Yeah, and I think those players can never be underestimated. You know, they're so tough, and they just have such a greater impact, and it's like a ripple effect. You know, them getting a steal, them getting a rebound. You know, it can really force that momentum and really create stuff for the team.
So the second half underway. It's Ipswich ball. Now let's see what Brent can do here. Can they cut into this lead as Wormold doesn't get her 3 to drop? Davids with the rebound, so Brent on the attack. And let's see how they come out of half-time as Gudza manages to save the ball in. I think she was trying to get it knocked off.
Smart play
off Wellham there, but didn't kind of work out. So Ipswich again, but if you're Brent, you take this, don't you, as a whole new half, a whole new game.
Yeah, the scoreline 0-0.
And a foul off the ball. That's going to be on Gudza. So Ipswich reset from the sideline. Keys having played all 40 minutes in yesterday's under-18s game, is back out on court today. Wormold to Wellham, and that's enough space for Harriet Wellham. Nothing but net. Gives the MJ shrug there.
Yeah, I mean, because there's always enough space, let's be honest.
Bishop looks to answer. Ball's loose. Players fighting for it, and a jump ball means it stays with Brent. And again, Hannah, it's not a lack of looks that Brent are getting.
No, it's really not. But again, that was a little bit better. I mentioned before with Isha, you know, Eleanor Bishop, that's her kind of key mark, hanging out on the perimeter, waiting for those good passes from her teammates to hit those threes. The passes haven't been great, so she's not been quite set, but that was good. Looked good then.
Certainly did. Bishop is a deadly three-point shooter. Gudza lines it up. Doesn't go. And Leach up ahead. Has Gibbons. Keys in the corner. Swings it back to Gibbons. And woo, I've got the ball. Who wants it?
I've lost you, Ken. 1 second.
There we go. That's an assist. Do I get credited with an assist?
Yeah,
for,
you should get an assist for that one. Or at least a rebound.
So, Brent Ball. We've not had that happen before. That's a first for me. A ball bouncing on the commentary table. As Gudza goes through to the basket, rejected by Gibbons. And Louisa Gibbons does such a good job, doesn't she, trailing her opponent and getting in the way. Yeah,
she really is. And she's brilliant for, you know, she averages 1.7 blocks per game as well. So she's really here doing what she does best.
Wormold against Accra. Hands it off to Wellham. Gibbons inside. Met by the double team. Tries to pass out of it. Gibbons picks it up. She's going to go to the foul line.
This defense here now is what we're used to seeing from Brent. You know, it's tough, it's in your face, it's full on, and I think this is what we've been waiting for them to bring out.
They need to make Ipswich work hard for every basket, don't they? Don't make it easy to get to the hoop.
No.
But, you know, it's a credit to Ipswich that also they've been making it look easy.
Yeah.
So Gibbons at the line, averaging 12.3 points per game in Division 1 this season. 10 rebounds, which is good for third in the league. And also, she's 8th in assists with 3.8, so she's a big that does the big things, but she's also getting in a bit of the guard action as well.
She's a real good all-round player.
Goes 2 of 2 from the line. And Brent looking to go on a run here as David's out to Accra. A 3 from Vanessa Accra spins off the rim, but it's picked up by Bishop, and another chance here for Brent. Bishop thought about the shot, looking to hand it out. Has Gudza 1 second, has to put something up here, and that'll be a shot clock violation. Again, stifling defense from Ipswich.
What's really hard in these games, and especially in the final, is actually keeping an eye on the shot clock. Because as much as your team might be shouting at you, you can't hear. You really can't hear. And
also they're at the different another end. So Brent are shooting in front of Ipswich's bench, who are not going to help them with the shot clock.
Absolutely not.
Keys, space for 3. And another rebound for Gibbons. Leach's 3 doesn't fall, but Wellham cleans up the glass and puts it back in. And Wellham now up to 24 points personal. She's had 2 38-point games this season in Division 1, so this should be no surprise to anyone that knows Harriet Wellham.
It's really not.
As Fritz's shot spins around but goes in. And that's the first points of the quarter for Brent. Leach's pass is intercepted. Bishop has Fritz up ahead. Bishop's. She tried to get it over to Fritz. A foul called on Ipswich.
I do think she needed to make that pass just a little bit earlier. She did have Fritz in the lane, and I think she'd have just pushed it a little bit earlier. You just might have had the open layup.
So that's foul number 3 on Maddie Wormold, and we see for Brent now, so Lindsey Cleary back into the game alongside Jinyud and Millie Watkins. So Brent Ball. It's a 30-point Ipswich lead. Sorry, it's a 40-point Ipswich lead.
It is. You know when you think, when did that go up?
Yeah. Accra to Cleary. Has Gibbons on her. Cleary out to Watkins. Long two's good. And a long pass. Keys just reaches out of the air, finishes at the rim. because she doesn't stop running.
She really doesn't.
All over the court. Going against Cleary. There's Gudza again looking to go inside, and a blocking foul called on Ipswich. But that's, so Brent, on that last possession, you know, get a good basket, get a score, but then Ipswich are already down the court underneath the basket.
I don't want to say it, but it's just not good enough, because I think, you know, they did it so many times in the first half. You have to cover your basket. You know, you have to learn from those mistakes. They've done it ample times in the first half. Get someone out, get someone back there.
Cleary driving to the basket, gets her own rebound. And again, a jump ball called. That's Ipswich possession. So Wellham on the inbound. And you mentioned again at half-time, Hannah, so Harriet Wellham, a 2-time National Cup MVP. Could she possibly become a 3-time National Cup MVP?
I think so.
Wormald going against Accra. Oh, what a handoff there to Leach. And Keris Leach gets her first points of the game. Gudza hangs in the air, passes to Cleary. High off the glass, but it won't drop. As Wormald over to Wellham. Wellham spins against Jude. Hits the rim, but knocked out of bounds. So again, Ipswich resetting. And it's been a 9-4 run for Ipswich so far this quarter. Wellham into Gibbons. Gibbons has the space and lays that in. 10 points for Louisa Gibbons alongside 13 rebounds.
Stole it back.
Wellham drains it from deep. And Ipswich are just looking unstoppable at the moment, Hannah.
Yeah, they are. They really are. I think right now, you know, Kendrick Reese to sit down with his team, have a chat, you know. They are getting the looks, like we said, but I think the mistakes like that at this end where, you know, you're not, you know, turning the ball over. You know, actually, interestingly, they've only had 9 turnovers, so it's not like, you know, they're in double figures and they're losing the ball. It's just silly mistakes like that where, you know, you're not making the right pass. And you've got Harriet Wellham with plenty of space to shoot a 3. So I think it's just times like that, that's when they need to be careful.
And for a team like Brent, who usually, you know, they score a lot in the paint, Ipswich are a team known for their 3-point shooting, lead the league in 3-point attempts and 3-pointers made. Today, Ipswich having hit 8. You know, they usually make 10 in a game, so with still another quarter to go. But points in the paint, 32 for Ipswich. They usually average 35.8, so they're even well ahead of their averages. Yeah. And they're still shooting 86% from the 2-point range in the third quarter. I feel like I've not seen that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it just, again, it shows the prep that they put in, the drills that they do in practice. You know, it's just something that they obviously work on so that when they come in a game like this, they're ready for it.
It's muscle memory, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just practice, practice, practice. So Brent, get it over the halfway line. Jude's calling for it in the corner, but will step out of bounds. And again, Ipswich get the ball back. And like you said, Hannah, it's just those little mistakes.
Yeah.
So Keys sets things up for Ipswich. Again, it's that really quick ball movement for Ipswich. Wellham finds Gibbons. Keys has time to line up the 3. Won't fall.
Great ball movement there, you know, using the big, pulling her out, looking for that open shot and making those right shot selections as well.
Long 2 for Cleary, and that gives her first points of the game.
I mean, that's so unusual, you know, for Cleary to only put points on the board in the third quarter.
She averages 18 a game in Division 1 this season. As Wormald passes round, Gibbons out to Wellham. 6 seconds on the shot clock. Keys has space in the corner. That is good from Maisie Keys, and 21 points personal from Maisie Keys, who is really showing what she can do, and at such a young age as well. It's great, isn't it, when you see young players have breakout games like this almost.
Yeah, it's so exciting to see. You know, and from a personal perspective as well, I'm quite proud, you know, obviously having coached her from under 16s, you know, to see how far she's come, it's brilliant.
Certainly, she was out with the GB under-18 squad this summer at the European Championships, as Goods' three doesn't go. And Wellham will again find Keys in the corner. That one doesn't fall. As Guza over to Cleary. Back to Guza, inside Watkins. And that's the kind of play that we expect to see more of from Brent.
Exactly, exactly.
Wellham, she's got too much space from behind the arc. As the ball's tipped, Cleary comes up with it, but she's doubled, needs to get it over halfway. She will. And a run-in, Guza met by Keys, who blocks it in the air. As Guza passes to Watkins. Accra, three doesn't hit. But that cutting, running inside for Brent. Obviously, Maisie Keys stopping it with the block, but that's the kind of play that Brent like to do and they tend to have success with. Yeah,
really moving the ball, using their interior players. You know, they're all really, really well built on Brent, and I think, you know, that gives them that advantage under the basket, that they can, you know, hold their own space. And that's what we're used to playing, and that's what we're used to seeing from Brent.
It is. So Deanna Carrington back into the game for Ipswich. Maisie Keys will take a seat. And Carrington finds Wormald, turn and shoot. Zakra to Guza. Yud in the corner, it's short, gets their own rebound. Out to Watkins. Cleary, her three doesn't go. And another rebound for Millie Watkins. Into Accra. Wormald intercepts it. And that's the fourth steal for Maddie Wormald. As again, this quick ball movement here from Ipswich. Carrington. Three's no good, but Gray can't put back, as Louisa Gibbons is just fighting for every single possession. And the rebounding battle going Ipswich's way, 44-29. 15 second chance points for Ipswich off 11 offensive boards, and for Brent, Hannah, 15 offensive rebounds, but 3 second chance points.
Yeah, it's not good enough. You know, it's those second chance points that really kind of help close those gaps and help eat at the deficit. So I think for them, that's something that they kind of need to go back and have a look at.
Just over a minute and a half to play in the third. Guza banks in a three. Gets herself on the scoreboard. Wellham to Gray. Gray working against Guza. Finds Carrington on the baseline. Wellham saves it in. 4 seconds, 2 seconds. Gray looks to hit from behind the arc. Carrington's there underneath the hoop, and Deanna Carrington will draw the foul and go to the line.
Yeah, she's tough, Deanna Carrington. She's got great off-the-ball movement. She's one of those players that's always looking for where she can help her team next. And, you know, those nice little under-the-basket cuts means that she's always in the perfect spot for a nice, cheeky little 2 points.
She certainly is. She's a player that's represented England at the under-16 level at the Four Nations tournament a few years ago. And also come through the Aspire programme. And it's, again, another player that's come up through the age groups at Ipswich and being able to move into the senior team. It's a programme that provides a lot of opportunities for players in Ipswich. As Davids races down the court. Fritz in the corner. Her three won't go as the ball's knocked out of bounds, and last touch, Brent. So again, Ipswich will get the ball back here in the final minute of the third. We've also got some great support in the crowd, Ipswich support. I know I've seen Deanna Carrington's mum and Maisie Kesey's mum out there supporting. And Brent with a lot of people having travelled to support family. We've got Eleanor Bishop's family there. Gin Youths coming a long way to support their players and family. So a jump ball called stays with Ipswich. 37.6 seconds in the quarter. We have 5 on the shot clock. Keys to Carrington, 3 seconds. Davids picks up the steal. Wormald though, fighting for it with Cleary. Cleary comes up with it. Brent have time here to run some of the clock down. There's Cleary to Fritz, and great IQ there from Fritz. She bounces the ball off Keys to keep the ball with Brent. Eight seconds on the shot clock. Fritz to the basket. Davids picks it up, passes over to Cleary. Nothing but net at the end of the buzzer. With 3 seconds, Carrington, 1 second, has to put something up. Gray will launch. And it was a difficult shot to take at the end of the quarter. But a 75-35 lead for Ipswich over the Brent Bulls here as we head into the fourth quarter. And Hannah, it's a tough deficit for the Bulls to try and overcome, but that third quarter, we saw some positives. That's their highest scoring quarter of the game so far with 14. They had shots starting to drop, and when they were cutting and running inside, getting those looks under the basket, they were going for them.
Yeah, I think, you know, like I say, we've seen pockets of what we're used to from Brent. And I just think for them, that's all they've got to focus on, is making sure that they're kind of really working together, moving that ball well on offense. The defense has really pulled up today, pulled through in this third quarter. You know, they've managed to kind of put a bit of a lid on Ipswich scoring, and I think, you know, it's been quite evenly matched this quarter. It's not, and I think this is what we expected from the get-go of the game.
Isn't it a 19-14 quarter for Ipswich over Brent? But yeah, as you say, a bit more evenly matched than we'd expect.
And you know, it's hard now because we've got 10 minutes left of the game, and I think, you know, it just took them a bit too long, I think, to kind of settle into this one, unfortunately. So I think for them now, like we say, it's just focusing on those pockets of gameplay that for them are, you know, are what are at their core as a team. So looking for the inside passes, moving off the ball well, and, you know, really bringing through that smothering defense.
Exactly, and this isn't the last time these two teams are going to meet this season, is it? They're going to see each other in the league. We have playoffs coming up, and it's certainly something that's going to light a fire with Brent as well. There's always the battle for the positioning in the league. Brent currently in third place. Ipswich and Kohler in joint first. But there's still a lot that they're going to be able to take through the course of the season. And they have the players out there to do it.
Yeah, they do.
So Brent ball, 10 more minutes to play. Fritz. Fritz to Cleary. Hangs in the air, shot won't go. And Gibbons again fights for the rebound. That's rebound number 15 for Louisa Gibbons. Carrington picks up the loose ball as she works against Accra. Cleary picks it up though for Brent. Accra against Carrington. Hands it off to Watkins, that's short. And fighting for the ball underneath the basket with 1 second to go. Fritz's three doesn't drop, and it will be Ipswich ball.
But again, we see that movement there from Watkins that I like to call clockwork cutting. So, you know, as one drives baseline, you've got one cut into the middle of the key. You know, creating that sequence hopefully gives you that open look under the basket.
Definitely. So thank you again to everybody watching live on the Basketball England YouTube channel. Coming up after this game, we have the men's game at 4 o'clock between the Hemel Storm and the Reading Rockets, as Vanessa Accra intercepts it. And then Hannah Gray steals it back. Gray racing down the court as Ensol looks to find Gibbons. Again, the quick ball movement from Ipswich. Keys' three doesn't drop, and a foul on Gray underneath the basket. And a second foul on Hannah Gray. Just the first team foul for Ipswich. And again, you said earlier, Hannah, so they'd been very disciplined in the first, maybe less so in the second, but then coming out in the third and fourth, they've again just gone back to that.
Yeah,
so
they really have.
Able to correct any kind of very minor mistakes that they've been making. Watkins is shot short, she chases it down. Cleary has a chance at the rim. And a foul on the play, so 2 shots to come for Brent. Foul number 2 on Louisa Gibbons. So Lindsey Cleary at the line for Brent has 5 points personal so far. Had to sit for quite an extended period of time, picking up those early fouls. And a player that made the move over from the Reading Rockets, where she played a couple of seasons, moved over to Brent. Goes 2 of 2 from the line. As Carrington pulls up for the short jumper. Doesn't drop, but Ensol's there for the rebound. Gray. Gray, shot clock running down, 2 seconds. Keys, catch and shoot. No good. And Brent ball, and that's something we're more sort of used to seeing from Brent. That defense that Brent are known for playing this season and throughout, you know, the years they've been in existence. They make it difficult for you to get the shots that you want, don't they? It's for Ipswich, they've been able to counter that, but usually Brent are more of a running the clock down, stopping their opponent.
Yeah, I fell foul foot many a time with this.
And a fantastic finish from Lindsey Cleary, who's also going to go to the line. As the basket is good and a chance for a 3-point play, and you can see here, like Lindsey Cleary, just showing what she does on court.
Yeah, what we've been expecting from her this game. I just think it's sad that, you know, I think the 3 fouls have had an impact on that. Again, I'd like to question that third one, but, you know, I'll let it go, Kaz.
So Cleary,
I just want to see her play.
Just
that's all.
Yeah, we want to see a rebound. As she gets the steal, Davids to Fritz. Fritz able to bank it in. That was a difficult shot. Had Wellham coming up behind her.
I think she had eyes in the back of her head there.
As Cleary tries to intercept the ball, dives on the floor, but Ipswich hold on to it. As Keys swings it to Wellham. Wellham's 3 off the rim, but Gibbons dives in again for another rebound. Gets it to Gray. And Louisa Gibbons has just been putting on an absolute rebounding clinic today.
She really has.
As Accra for Brent finds Fritz behind the arc. That's good. Judit Fritz up to 16 points, and this is what Brent have wanted to see. So a 7-point swing for Brent this quarter, having their best sort of start to a quarter so far.
Yeah, they really have. You know, they've smothered that Ipswich offense, really forcing those shots. So I think for them now, they're fighting. They're still fighting, you know, which is fantastic to see, and that's what we want to see. They know as well as everybody else that this league is wide open, and you know, they're showing today that they're not lying down. They're not letting Ipswich take this. And I just think that's great to see.
It is, and the impact we can see from Lindsey Cleary that she has on this team. You know, up to 10 points now, 5 rebounds, 3 of them offensive, and now 5 second chance points for Brent. You know, smaller compared to Ipswich's 15, but that's just been in the last few minutes or so. That's sort of making the difference.
Yeah, it really has. You know, she's got some great footwork, and you know, people I think sometimes underestimate. You know, when a player is having a bit of a run, the impact that has on the whole team. It's a ripple effect. It gets the momentum going, it gets the supporters going, and that's really demonstrating, you know, the value of Lindsey Cleary for this Brent team.
Absolutely, just energises the team, doesn't it? So back out on court, 7-12 to play. Ipswich with a 30-point lead here. In the fourth quarter, they were up 48 at one point. So Brent, you know, having pulled that back.
Yeah.
As they pick up full court, ball's out of bounds, and they force the turnover. So ball's back into the hands of the Bulls. Davids, round to Fritz. Watkins in the corner, into Cleary, back out to Watkins. Watkins is, shot spins out. And that was a good look from Millie Watkins.
Yeah. I would really like the stats on how many of the ball, how many baskets have spun out.
Just well, I'm looking to pass out. And good hands there from Fritz. Causes the turnover. Davids kicks it to Fritz in the corner, lines it up. Won't go. But that's more of the pace as well that we've seen from Brent so far this season. As Wormold controls the ball. Wormold has space. Her three doesn't drop. And Cleary skipping her way to the basket, puts it off the glass, but it's too strong. And back with Maisie Keys for Ipswich. And another big board for Louisa Gibbons. She fights under the basket, gets the ball to her teammates, just kicks it out. She's got 17 rebounds. As Davids finds Accra in the corner, an offensive foul called on the Bulls. And that'll be on Davids, her first. So over the halfway line for Ipswich. Wormold.
Thought Judit had a hand on that then.
Keys has just left alone behind the arc. Ball again spins out of the hoop. We've seen so many of those today for both teams.
I was always told you need to hold your follow through more.
To make it,
that's what I was always told.
The foul at the other end of the court, that's on Brent. And a second offensive foul called on the Bulls. That's on Watkins. That's her third. Saruna Guza will check into the game, and Lindsey Cleary heads to the bench. So Ipswich yet to score this quarter. And it's been a 10-0 run for Brent. So Keys will inbound from the sideline. Wormold finds Wellham again. That corner three is open for Ipswich, and we've seen them do that as well. We've seen them take advantage of that corner three. The space in the ball movement. Wellham, she has space Her three doesn't go, but Wellham's getting that shot. She's getting that look.
Yeah, if you watch the way that they set up the bottom of the zone, they set a screen and allow that perimeter player to move and find space for the open three.
So foul's called on Ipswich, third foul on Wellham. Brent reset from the sideline with just under 5 minutes to play, having held Ipswich scoreless this quarter. But a run that probably going to come a bit too late for them. Goodser, three, too short. Watkins fighting inside for the rebound. She gets the whistle, so Millie Watkins will go to the foul line for two.
Yeah, that was really well deserved there. She really fought for that. It was great hustle from her.
Watkins playing in her second season for Brent. She was representing GB at the under-35s Maxi Basketball European Championships last summer. Came home with a silver medal. Just a really experienced player out on court, isn't she?
She's tough.
Gets the roll on the first free throw. The way it's gone today, you expected that just bounce out.
Yeah, I know.
Second doesn't drop. As Wormald fighting for the ball inside. And a foul called. So it's sideline ball for Ipswich, and that is foul number 5 on Millie Watkins. So after the free throw, Watkins fouls out of the game, and Cleary back in for the Bulls. And Ipswich have really shown off their game plan today, haven't they?
Yeah, they really have. They've done so well, just making sure it was executed to perfection.
And Wellham driving to the basket, gets her own rebound, finds Maisie Keys at the top of the arc, and again the ball movement from Ipswich is fantastic. Wellham to Keys. Back round to Wellham, 2 seconds to shoot. Not that time, and Cleary with another board for Brent. As Davids to Goodser. Accra with the long two. Cleary with the offensive board. Too high off the glass, but tipped by Fritz, who keeps it into the hands of Brent. As Davids scoop layup, won't fall, but she's going to go to the line.
Yeah, I think this is Brent's game plan now. You know, they're driving at the basket. Ipswich are on 5 fouls. I mean, they're not far off themselves, but I think, you know, it's the best shot they've got at getting some more points on the board.
Yes, a foul number 3 on Danny Casey. Rocky Davids shooting 2. Gets the first to go. She's been averaging 5.7 points per game, 6.1 rebounds and 4.6 assists in Division 1. That's good for second. A real all-round player.
Yeah.
Just does a bit of everything on court for the Bulls. Second pops out. Davids has 3 points, 5 rebounds and an assist today. Keys finds Casey underneath the basket. Good recovery from Goodser to get out to her. As Gibbons stepping through, lays it in, and that'll be Ipswich's first points of the quarter.
Lovely footwork there from Melissa Gibbons.
No look from Davids to Accra underneath the hoop. What a finish. And a timeout called. And with 3:04 to play, 75 points for Ipswich, 47 for the Bulls. You feel like the Bulls have found their feet in this quarter, but obviously coming too late in the game.
Yeah, I think for them now it's just kind of lowering that deficit. But, you know, you can't take 4 quarters in a final to find your feet. You know, it matters. These games, you know, you have to come ready like Ipswich did. They came straight onto the floor and, you know, they absolutely threw the points on the board in that first quarter.
They certainly did a massive 30-point first quarter, 26 points in the second, 19 in the third, and then just 2 in the fourth. And for Brent, 14 points so far, tying their highest scoring quarter with the third. So they have, as you say, it took them too long, but they found their way in the second half. And huge performances. If we look down the Ipswich roster, so Maisie Keys had that incredible first quarter. She's up to 21 points personal with 2 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal and a block. Harriet Wellham doing what she does best, 27 points, 10 rebounds and 7 assists. Hey, she's looking at a triple-double there.
She really is.
Along with 1 steal. And Louisa Gibbons, 12 points, 18 rebounds, 8 of them offensive and 5 assists. She's been so impressive, hasn't she, today?
Yes, she has.
And for the Bulls, it's been Judit Fritz leading away, 16 points for her, along with 6 rebounds. And Wormold all alone underneath the basket.
I think she hid in the back corner there very well.
Wormold, a pickup for Ipswich this year, a new signing. She's been playing NBL 1 in South Australia, but has been a really effective addition to the Ipswich team. Wellham, no good. Cleary has Davids racing up the court, up ahead, goes to the basket. Oh, what a shot from Rocky Davids. Putting some flair on it.
Yeah, it was great spin on that then. See, how did that not bounce out?
That's
it's really
the
questionable.
improbable shot.
Honestly, the physics.
Wellham out to Gibbons. Gray against Cleary. Gray to the basket. And time expires on the shot clock. A good defensive possession there from Brent.
You know, to be fair, you know, give Brent credit where it's due. They ran the shot clock down so many times for Ipswich today.
They have.
They really, you know, they've been forceful with the defense. They've been smothering, and they've really upped the intensity. Sadly, I just don't think it's then reflected at the opposite end for them.
Yeah, it's unfortunate shooting. 24% from the field, hitting 20. 5 threes falling for them, and 6 of 8 free throws for Ipswich. Still shooting less than Brent are. 31 made field goals, which is good for 40%. They're still shooting an incredible amount from the 2-point range, 75%, and having hit 7 of 9 free throws. So this is a game where both teams very evenly matched from the line. Neither team has kind of shot that many in comparison to what they normally would.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think, you know, the stats are a better reflection of kind of the competitiveness of these teams. I think sometimes today has just been one of them days for Bulls where you just can't control it.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes we have those days where you turn up and you give everything and you're doing everything right, but they're just not dropping. And sadly, I think for them, it happened to be on a day it was a final. So.
But this is a really strong Brent Bulls team. I'm sure they will regroup.
Yeah.
We said they've got a lot of season left to play.
Yeah. And I think, you know, like me and Isha said before, this league, the D1 league is wide open, you know. In their last head-to-head, Brent took the win. So I think, you know, for them now, you know, game on, really, you know.
Absolutely, I'm sure they'll use this as fuel as well, as Cleary from the top of the arc doesn't get the shot to go. Casey racing down the court, can't quite save it in, but Ipswich still keeping up the pace here, up big here in the 4th quarter. And coach Nick Drane having done a fantastic job with his team this season. He called this year a transitional year for Ipswich. And I just think if you've got a transitional year and you're in the finals and up as much as Ipswich are, that's a pretty good year.
Yeah, very much so.
His assistant Tom Kelly alongside him, both working hard through the Ipswich programme as Accra doesn't get her 3 to go. And 90 seconds to play. Wellham swings it to Gray. Back to Wellham. Gibbons. Hands off to Wellham. Wellham's trapped. And foul is called. And that's going to be the 5th team foul on the Bulls. That puts Wellham at the line. Up to 27 points in today's game for Harriet Wellham. 11 rebounds, a double-double for her, alongside 7 assists.
Are we taking bets?
I think it's tough, isn't it? It's tough, but I think, because I think we can't discount Louisa Gibbons and the impact that she's had on the game. And Louisa Gibbons with a massive 36 index at the moment.
Oh, amazing.
With her 19 rebounds and 12 points. But you can't ever go wrong considering Harriet Wellham for the MVP with the game that she has had.
I mean, you know, I did have her getting an MVP title on my bingo card for 2025. Whether it's today
or whether it's
or the
in
final.
the future, yeah.
I know it's happening.
Ipswich have won 2 titles in the National Cup. Wellham has been named MVP for both of them, winning their first one back in the 2017-2018 season. And then again last year she had a huge 32 points, 4 rebounds and 5 assists when Ipswich beat the Thames Valley Cavaliers. And she puts it up from 3. And Ipswich still firing here in the last minute of the game, but it's going to be a very, very well-deserved win for Ipswich.
It really is. You know, the way they came out firing in that first quarter, they were ready to play. You know, they were fast and aggressive, and, you know, they really showed kind of why they deserve to be here, but also why they are the reigning champions.
And we see Angel White and Kaya Bateman into the game for Ipswich again, 2 players that were out there with the under-18 squad yesterday, getting some minutes out on court. As Fritz, the ball's loose, it's picked up by Bateman. Bateman racing all the way to the basket. David's got a hand on it, but a foul called. So Bateman will go to the line. And a young player with a chance to get on the scoreboard here. Previously playing for the Milton Keynes Camp invitee last year. Again, another really promising young player on Ipswich. And can't get the free throw to fall. Rebounds chased down, it's Brent Ball. Picked up by Gray. Wellham leading all scorers with 28 points so far. Gets it into Gray. Bateman driving baseline and some of the younger players on the squad. You come out, no fear, driving to the basket, get to the line.
And also taking advantage of the, you know, there are questions about whether coaches should do it or not at the end of the game, but, you know, it's them making a mark and, you know, just showing, this is me, hello, I'm here. And I think it's really important. And like that, now she's getting her name, her getting points on the board in a cup final. Yeah,
it's great to see. And Bateman alongside White, alongside Keys, Ensol. Into the game, and she shows what she can do. As that will do it, an 81-53 win for Ipswich over the Brent Bulls. Congratulations to Ipswich, back-to-back National Cup champions. A well-deserved victory and some huge individual performances out there. Harriet Wellham with 28 points, 11 rebounds, 7 assists and a steal. Maisie Keys with 21 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists and a steal. Louisa Gibbons, 19 rebounds, 8 of them offensive, along with 6 assists and 12 points. So just an incredible performance from Ipswich from the tip.
Yeah, they did. They came out, you know, maybe with a bit of kind of momentum from yesterday, you know, wanting to kind of prove themselves, and I think they absolutely killed it today. There was no stopping it in that first quarter, and I think for them that set them in good stead for the rest of the game. Brent were fantastic, you know, they did really fight for this game today. I just think it came a little bit too late in that fourth quarter.
And as we said, still a lot to come from Brent this season. Judit Fritz leading the way for the Bulls with 16 points, 6 rebounds, 2 steals. And Lindsey Cleary in limited minutes due to that early foul trouble, 10 points, 10 rebounds, a double-double. So that's just a glimpse, isn't it, of what she could have done.
Yeah, I think so. I think, you know, like I said, you know, you have to question whether that was also part of Ipswich's game plan. And I think for them, she was smart with it. She did come in and she had a go, and she, you know, put them points on. And like you say, you know, to put 10 points on that game in that time, I think was really, really impressive.
Yeah, definitely. And as we wait for the trophy presentations and the MVP presentation, again, a big thank you to everybody who's watched live on the Basketball England YouTube channel. It's been great to see the support for both teams out there. Coming up after this game at 4 o'clock, we have the men's game taking place between the Hemel Storm and the Reading Rockets, the battle between first and second place. You can catch that game live at 4 o'clock. John Hobbs and Will Reed taking you through that one. But for now, it's a massive, massive congratulations to Ipswich. A really hard-fought win for them, 81-53 over the Brent Bulls. And for Brent, Hannah, it's difficult, isn't it? You get to the final. You know, they haven't been a team in existence for a long time, only founded in 2020. Head coach Kenrick Liebert has done a really good job getting them here, but it'll be disappointing. But then it's time to focus on the season and what they've achieved so far and what they can achieve.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, my take on Brent is I watched them play Sheffield Hatters in the Cup qualifiers. I think it was back in 2021, and the way they fought against Sheffield, and we know what Sheffield Hatters were like at D2. You know, they came here and they were tough, had that experience, and the way Brent fought against them, for me, it just ticked a box in my head, and I just thought, you are a team to watch, you're going to bring something. And then when they entered D1, I think for them, they just really, really have set the bar, and you always expect them to be up there in the top, in one of the top 4 spots.
Yeah, absolutely. This is certainly not the last we've seen of Brent this season. And again, really experienced players out there on court. And for Ipswich, whilst it's as Nick Drane says, it's been a transitional year. Players having moved on and a bit of a different look to the team we saw this time last year. They have just been consistent, and they've been consistent at winning at Ipswich at all levels, haven't they?
Yeah, they have. And you know, we say it every time. You know, we have to give credit to Nick Drane and the guys there in the programme, because they've been, you know, really rolling out results. And their training and their programme that they've got in place is just clearly very effective.
Absolutely. And Harriet, well, it's a fantastic example, isn't it, of the talent in this country. Yeah,
it is. And, you know, to have her go away, you know, and play in Europe, but come back and bring that experience and bring that knowledge, it just adds another element to our game. And for, you know, as somebody watching but also participating, it's great because, you know, you can kind of see what is out there and what it is to play like in Europe, and then to be able to, you know, come here and bring it to us, I just think she's fantastic.
And she's also coaching the under-18 squad. So as you mentioned, you know, yesterday she was a coach, but today she was a teammate. But also having that experience and that kind of relationship with other players, that's going to really help, isn't it? Help that development of players.
I think I've mentioned it before. You know, it's one thing having you know, her as a teammate, but then also to have her as a coach, you know, it just adds another element to it. And her passing on that knowledge and experience to the younger generation, it's just so exciting to see. I mean, she could come and coach me if she wanted to. I'd quite happily have her as a coach.
And speaking of the young talent coming through, obviously Maisie Keys had that phenomenal first quarter where she was just on fire and couldn't miss. Finished the game with 21 points. Obviously making the move over from Manchester to Ipswich this season, and Louisa Gibbons, another young player, but will be going over to the States in September. There's just such a rich wealth of talent, isn't there?
Yeah, it is. You know, yeah, absolutely fantastic. And you know, like you say, Maisie came from Manchester. She was with me. I had the pleasure of coaching her actually at under 12s when, you know, from the very young age of, you know, 13, 14, and then to see where she's at now, it's just a fantastic development path she's been on. You know, and I think she made this move to Ipswich. It was the right move for her, and you know, as a club, we're very proud of her, and to see where she's gone, and her putting these points and these numbers on the boards like that in a game and having such an impact, you know, and the same yesterday as well. Yeah, it's brilliant to see.
It's great to see, isn't it? And also, we should mention Maddie Wormold, an addition for Ipswich this season. 9 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists and 4 steals. She's made a real impact, hasn't she, on the team?
Yeah, she really has. I think, you know, it was a great scout report from the guys there at Ipswich. You know, she's fitted really well into this team. She's found a position, and I think, you know, they are such a unique team, Ipswich. You can't just kind of, you know, bring somebody in and hope for the best. It would take somebody quite special to be able to slot them in so perfectly like she has done, and, you know, just keep that synchronicity amongst them.
Yeah, the way she plays is just perfect Ipswich basketball, isn't it?
Yeah.
So as the Brent Bulls collect their runners-up medals, we'll have the trophy presentation and the MVP. So can we decide? I mean, I'm glad that we don't have to decide who is the MVP, but who would be your pick if I was to force you to pick someone? It's unfair, I know.
See, I'm also quite biased as well in the fact that, you know, I'd love to see Maisie with the MVP.
Yeah. I think it will be a very well-deserved whoever is named.
You're right, you're very much that, yeah. Whoever gets it, it's well-deserved no matter what.
But you look down the Ipswich roster here and it could be any number of players.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking then quickly at the assist column. Like, I just think, you know, to have players on 7, 6, 6 assists, it just shows you how, you know, what a unit they are on offense, that the way they move the ball and things, and it's not like one person is going after that MVP spot. They're all sharing the ball, they're all sharing the go, and they work together as a team for it. And
it's that ball movement we saw, isn't it? They move it so quickly, and it's not a case of catch the ball and dribble. It's catch the ball, shoot, go. So 27 assists as a team for Ipswich to 15 for Brent. On their way to 81 points for Ipswich, and they finished their three-point shooting, hitting 10 from behind the arc. 21 made two-pointers, which is 75% from the two-point range, 40% overall. Brent having hit 5 from behind the arc, shooting 24% from the field. So Ipswich now collecting their winners' medals. And a huge achievement for them. Back-to-back National Cup titles. I mean, that's tough to do, isn't it? 2 seasons in a row.
Yeah, it really is. To retain that title, I just think for them, we keep saying it, I know we sound like a broken record, but, you know, they just have such an established programme that I just think, you know, they're just going to keep churning out these results.
So it'll be Captain Harriet Wellham to collect the trophy for Ipswich. Back-to-back National Cup champions. Head coach Nick Drane and his assistant Tom Kelly heading over with the team. And a lot of happy travelling support from the Ipswich section.
Yeah, I mean, those wigs, I think they deserve the win just based off those wigs, to be honest with you.
I think they should have a photo with the wigs
Yeah,
on. They need
I
to
know
have
they do.
a
Oh, yeah.
on the players. I think it'd suit Nick as well. I think
Yeah.
he'd.
7 assists, 11 rebounds.
So it is Harriet Wellham, your 3-time National Cup MVP. 28 points, 11 rebounds, 7 assists and a steal. Well deserved from Harriet Wellham, just making more history throughout every single game she plays. An incredible achievement. 3 MVP awards in 3 National Cup wins.
Do you think she has a special shelf for those basketballs?
I think she would have. I think she's got a room for them.
Yeah.
So Harriet Wellham and Hannah Gray go up together to collect the trophy.
Congratulations.
And a big congratulations to Ipswich. They are your Senior Women's National Cup champions for the 2024-25 season. Back-to-back winners. An 81-53 win over the Brent Bulls. A dominant performance from tip-off. Harriet Wellham, a 3-time MVP, putting on a performance for the ages. And the team will go and celebrate in front of their fans. So much support from the crowd. And we will try and grab an interview with head coach Nick Drane and MVP Harriet Wellham courtside to get their thoughts on today's win. And what a birthday for Harriet Wellham.
I know.
You wake up, it's your birthday, play a final, get your 3rd MVP award. And a huge congratulations to Harriet Wellham, one of the incredible players out on show week in, week out in WNBL Division 1. Make sure to catch Ipswich in action throughout the course of the season. Lots more basketball to come from these teams as teams start to focus on the playoffs now, playoff finals in May. And you can get all your tickets on the Basketball England website. Head to the events section. And we're going to go courtside with Isha and MVP Harriet Wellham, 3-time National Cup MVP Harriet Wellham. Congratulations to Harriet. We're going to go courtside. Over to you, Isha.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, so I'm here courtside of MVP Harriet Wellham. Harriet, what an amazing performance. 28 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists. How does it feel to get that 3rd finals MVP?
It's crazy, to be honest. Obviously, the win's more important. MVPs come second, but yeah, just to have a 3rd championship in a little old town of Ipswich is ridiculous, and we're extremely proud as a club.
Yeah, 2nd year in a row as well, consecutive. What does that mean?
It's massive. Like, we love the cup, and that's always one of our targets as the season. We always want to win the cup or have a good cup run. So that's one ticked off for us.
Yeah, so your team's got quite a young core. What does it mean for them to play in games like this? How do you think it helps their development?
It's massive. Like, we have a massive pathway as part of our program. We have the academy, and obviously we've got a bunch of youngsters in the crowd as well. And we were saying beforehand, a lot of those youngsters were at our 2018 final. We're now playing today. So it's just huge, and it's incredible to do it in such a small town of Ipswich.
Yeah, so we're only halfway through the season. Obviously, you've got the cup win. What are the thoughts going into the rest of the season now?
We just want to win as much as we can. And it's been a difficult start of the season, but I think we're quite strong as a squad, and we keep getting stronger. So if we keep playing like that, who knows? But the treble would be lovely, but got to keep an eye on prize.
Yeah, thanks for taking time to speak to me today, Harriet.
I
really good
appreciate
job
it.
on the win the MVP.
Thank you very much. Thanks, guys.
Great to hear from Harriet Wellham there. We've said it several times, but a 3-time National Cup MVP. Also a 3-time Player of the Year in Division 1, just continues to make records. A fantastic player to have out on court, and a massive 28-point game from her. So coming up at 4 o'clock today, we have the men's final between the Hemel Storm and the Reading Rockets. John Hobbs and Will Reid taking you through that one. Stay tuned to the Basketball England YouTube channel for that game. It's going to be an absolute thriller. First place versus second place. And that'll be live on the Basketball England YouTube channel at 4 p.m. So make sure to like and subscribe. Keep up to date with all the action going on. So we're going to go courtside now with Isha Nair, who has head coach Nick Drane, and get his thoughts on today's win.
Thanks, Kaz. Yeah, so I'm here courtside with Nick Drane. Nick, second year in a row, cup win. How does it feel to get that going again?
It's great. I thought the girls were awesome, particularly in that first half. Obviously, this is the best we've played all season, and it's a good day to play that well for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was an amazing win, quite a large margin. Obviously, when you played Brent, as we spoke earlier, when you played Brent in the league, you guys lost by 4 points. Today you came back, you just turned the game around completely. I mean, you beat them by quite a large margin. How were you able to do that? What was the plan going into the game?
Well, I think that you know, you can kind of overemphasise what plans were and game plans. We played very, very well. Our players are a young team, with the exception of 3 senior players who are still young. So they're developing all the time. They're in an academy environment, so they play and train every day. So it stands to reason that if we're doing our jobs properly, that they're going to get better as the season goes on. You know, when we played Brent earlier in the season, they certainly outplayed us. And we're really pleased that we've got the job done today.
So how important is it for those young players to get an opportunity to play in a game like this?
It's absolutely massive, because playing in your own age group while is great for development and great. You know, you get to play with your friends, and you get to play against some friends in some cases. Obviously, playing against adults that are seasoned veteran players that have played at a very high level really prepares you for what they're going to do when they leave us.
Yeah, have you got any final thoughts on the win?
Just really, really proud of my team. You know, you can overemphasise the influence coaching has. The players are on the court; they're the ones that do it. They need all the credit. The coaching and on the sidelines is just you know, a lot of hot air a lot of the time. It's the players, and they're phenomenal.
Yeah, glad you could bounce back from yesterday. Really good job on the win, and I hope you enjoy the victory.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, Isha. Thanks, Nick. And a big congratulations to Ipswich. A really hard-fought win, 81-53 over the Brent Bulls. Harriet Wellham is your 3-time National Cup MVP. So that will do it from us here as we get ready for the men's game at 4 o'clock. John Hobbs and Will Reid will be live with you on the Basketball England YouTube channel. So make sure to stick around for that one. So from myself, Kaz Bullock, from Hannah Alty and Isha Nair, a big thank you to Ralston and his team. Thanks to everyone watching, and we'll see you next time.